Hello everyone, I'm back, and not with the video I said I was going to be doing in the community posts. Uh, yeah, sorry for being gone for so long. It's been almost 2 months. I said I was going to do stuff before the end of November, and then I got busy because of school stuff, and then, yeah, I'm in winter break now, so I guess I'll do some things during that, although I'm going to be out of town for the last week of it, so... Yeah, the stuff that I said will come in community posts will come eventually. I just don't know when. But we're starting with Clash Royale tier list December 2022. The last one I made in these is last one of these I made was in February, and honestly, looking back at it, that list was trash, complete trash. I mean, a good amount of my opinions still hold up, but some of my opinions do not. Um, Compared to what I think of them today. And of course, there's been a few new cards since then. Um, was it in February or was it in March? I think it was in February. But yeah, I guess we'll just be ranking Clash Royale cards again. This time I don't have the tier list pre-planned out. I'm just doing it as I go. So, yeah. First, some footnotes. This is I'm a mid ladder player. I fully acknowledge that. At around 5,500 trophies, which is Arena 16. Which I think is mid ladder. So this is a mid ladder tier list, and of course it's not the right list. It's just my list. It's just my experiences using or playing against these cards. Level 11 tournament standard, and yeah, don't be mad that this isn't a top level tier list. I'm not a top level player. That is not my area of expertise with this game. But yeah, we'll start with commons. Archers. Archers are quite bad. I'm gonna go E tier. Archers, not as bad as I used to think they were, but they're still quite bad. One of the worst cards in the game in mid ladder. Arrows. Arrows are still very good. I'm not sure whether I'd put them in A tier or S tier, but I'm thinking of using S tier a bit more sparingly. This may change later, but right now I'm going for A tier. Barbarians. Underrated, but not very good. I'm gonna go low B or high C. I'm not sure. I'm gonna go C for now. I might change that later. Bomber. Low C tier. It's kind of mediocre. Cannon. B tier. I really underrated quite a few buildings before. Cannon is actually a good card. E-barbs. E-barbs are an absolute mid-ladder menace. They may not be very good at the top, but in mid-ladder they are S tier. Although lower down in S tier. Electro Spirit. C tier. They can take out whole swarms because of the whole chaining thing, but they are also kind of a free King Tower activation. I think that balances out. Not bad though. Fire Spirit. I think a little better. I'm gonna put it slightly above the cannon in B tier. Its Fire Spirit is pretty good. Also, I forgot to order these. I'm gonna put E Spirit above Bomber. Okay. Firecracker C tier. I'm gonna go here. Firecracker is also can be a free King Tower activation, but it is so annoying. It appears I skipped one. Whoops. Bats. Bats I'd say are here. They're okay. Um, what's next? Goblin Gang. Goblin Gang got the third Spear Goblin neck. I think that puts them in A tier below arrows. Goblins are even better. Goblins got the fourth Goblin, which makes them absolutely insane. They're one of the best commons in the game right now. Absolutely A tier. Ice Spirit. The best Spirit. I'm gonna go A tier. Ice Spirit is good. Right below Goblin Gang. Knight. C tier. Knight is not very good. I'm gonna put Knight right there. Like Knight has decent stats, and especially for a 3 elixir card, it's just outclassed with so many things. Valk is better. Skeleton King is better. There's no point to use Knight. Minion Horde. I think this card is really underrated, and it did get a bit of a buff. It gets countered pretty easily like Barbarians, but it can also absolutely tear through some units. And they're air units, which makes you think they're a bit better than Barbarians. I'm gonna put them in B tier, in bottom of B tier. Minions, I think, go in the same boat. They don't get like positive elixir traded against as often as Minion Horde, but they also can't rip through things quite as much. I'm gonna put it right above. Royal Delivery. Royal Delivery is not a good card, but also not absolutely terrible like I used to think it is. I'm gonna go D tier. I used to think it was the worst card in the game. I don't know what I was thinking then. We'll get to the worst card in the game later. Mortar. Mortar is also not quite as bad as I thought, but still don't like it at all. I'm gonna go D tier below Royal Delivery. Yeah. I acknowledge it's pretty good at the top, but again, this isn't the top. Rascals. Kinda weak. Here. D tier above Royal Delivery. They're not the worst, but there's just not much of a point to using them. Royal Giant. Royal Giant's A tier. Here. I'm gonna go right here. Royal Giant is very good. It almost always gets a hit on your tower, no matter what you do. It's tanky. It has long range. It's really good. Royal Recruits. Royal Recruits are pretty solid. I'm gonna put them right here. Yeah, Royal Recruits are good. Skeleton Barrel. Skeleton Barrel sucks. Skeleton Barrel really sucks. I'm gonna put it up just above Archers in E tier. Yeah, there is no point to Skeleton Barrel at all. It's just garbage. Skeleton Dragons are also garbage, and I'm gonna put them right above him here. They honestly, if they were 3 elixir, they would shoot up probably into C or even B tier, but they're 4 elixir, and I do not think they are worth 4 elixir at all. Their splash radius is tiny, their attack rate is super slow, which means despite them having decent damage per shot, their DPS is not too good, and they're very frail. Skeleton Dragons are not good. Skeletons, my most controversial opinion. I They're not E tier like I used to think they were, but I'm still not a fan of skeletons. Especially now that goblins are insane now. I just don't see a point to skeletons anymore. I'm not going to put them in E tier like I used to. I'm going to put them here. That might change a little later. I don't know. This list isn't finalized. I'm just doing it as I go. Snowball. Snowball's okay. I'm thinking here. Yeah, I'm thinking that. Spear Goblins. Spear Goblins suck. I don't like Spear Goblins at all. I'm gonna go right here. Below Mortar. Yeah. Actually, no, I'm gonna put him right above Mortar. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Tesla. Tesla's pretty good. I'm actually going to put Tesla right above Cannon. They're both solid buildings, but Tesla doesn't get destroyed by Fireball constantly, which is something that the Cannon can have issues with. Plus it does a bit more damage and only costs 1 more elixir. Zap, the last common. Zap is really good. I'm thinking of putting it right below Arrows. Alright, those are all the commons, I think. I didn't check if this format had all the cards, but it says October 2022, and it has Monk and Phoenix, which are the most recent cards, so I think it has all the cards. Let me know if if this format doesn't have all the cards and I missed some, and I'll probably remake the video or something. I have time in my hands, I can do it. Okay, time for rares. Barb Hut. Barb Hut got buffed. Honestly, I way overrated it before. Old Barb Hut, I put it in B tier, but I would say now it would be D tier. Barb Hut got buffed. It got elixir cost nerf, and it spawns more barbarians per wave, but it spawns less waves now. It doesn't last as long. I'm thinking C tier. I'm thinking top of C tier. Yeah. Battle Healer. I overrated it. It is not A tier. It's more here. Yeah, I'd say this is pretty accurate for Battle Healer for mid ladder. It just doesn't do well enough on its own. Battle Ram. Battle Ram's pretty solid. In fact, I would say very solid. Top of B tier. Bomb Tower. Bomb Tower is not too good. I'm thinking this. Yeah, I'm thinking this for Bomb Tower. It's definitely worse than the Tesla and Cannon. Dark Goblin. Dark Goblin's A tier. Dark Goblin is great. I'm putting it right here. Almost always gets a hit in your tower if you just spam it at the bridge when there's no defenses going. Eagleum. Eagleum is very hit or miss. It can completely decimate your opponent, but also it can be countered and they'll have extra elixir to counter push. But I'm honestly, I way underrated it before. Eagleum's A tier. I'm gonna go with bottom of A tier. Eagleum's a beast. Elixir Pump, F tier. Elixir Pump is terrible, in mid ladder at least. It gets fireballed or lightninged or rocketed, and it's so expensive and doesn't really get you that much elixir back. It only gives you 2 more than you use to the place, and it takes so long. It's countered by spells. Elixir Pump is horrible. In my opinion, it's the worst card in the game, and the only one in F tier. Earthquake. I'm gonna go here because it synergizes with Hog Rider, but yeah, Earthquake is just trash. It doesn't do much to troops at all. It's really much of a building destroyer, but buildings aren't the most common in mid ladder. So yeah, I don't see much use for it here. Fireball. Fireball's S tier. Above V-Bards too. Fireball is the second best spell in the game probably, unless I'm forgetting one. Fireball is great. Flying Machine. Flying Machine is pretty average. I'm gonna go right here. Yeah, it's basically a Flying Musketeer, but worse. Yeah. I'm not too big of a fan of it. Furnace. I way overrated it before. Not bad, but I'm thinking this. Yeah. Giant. Also right... another one that goes right above another rare. Yeah, Giant is pretty average. Goblin Cage. I don't like Goblin Cage. It just doesn't work for me. Against Hog Riders, the Goblin isn't fast enough to catch up to the Hog Rider, and the Goblin also gets completely shredded by things like mini P.E.K.K.A.s and Swarms, and yeah, I just don't really like it. Like Goblin Cage that much. I'm gonna go with this. Yeah. Goblin Hood. Goblin Hood is great right now. I would say it's the best spawner in the game right now after that buff. Goblin Hood is awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna go right here. Spawning 3 Spear Goblins at once is great, and it still costs 5 elixir, and spawns multiple waves. Goblin Hood is really good. After the buff it got. Before the buff, it was probably C tier. Maybe even D tier. Hail Spirit. I'm thinking here. Hail Spirit's definitely the worst spirit, I would say. It can heal up a whole push pretty well, but also outside of that, it's completely useless outside of cycle, so yeah. Hog Rider. Hog Rider is without a doubt A tier. I'm thinking right here. Hog Rider is really good. It's the classic fast win condition that hits decently hard. Yeah, it's good. Ice Golem. Synergizes pretty well with things like Hog Rider and Battle Ram, but outside of that, it's pretty useless, except for, I guess, kiting P.E.K.K.A.s. Cheap, and has the Frost Nova thing when it dies. I'm thinking somewhere in C tier. Here. Yeah, I think that, yeah. Yeah. Inferno Tower. Inferno Tower is really good. I would say best defensive building in the game. Here. Yeah, I think that's good. Inferno Tower is really good. Mega Minion. Kind of pushed out because the Phoenix, but still good. Yeah, I'd say Here. Yeah, Mega Minion's good. It's 3 elixir. That's quite cheap for something that can do that much damage. Mini P.E.K.K.A. Mini P.E.K.K.A.'s A tier. Mini P.E.K.K.A. is great. Above Dark Goblin, actually. Mini P.E.K.K.A.'s insane. Musketeer. Musketeer is pretty good. In fact, I'm going to put it top of B tier. It's 4 elixir. It does decent damage. It's not the most frail thing in the world. I don't think it dies to an even level fireball. Um, and it has good range. That's the main thing about it. But it also gets wrecked by swarms and mini P.E.K.K.A.s and stuff. Yeah. Rocket. Rocket is... It can completely decimate entire pushes if they're like right next to each other. It works very well with Tornado. Uh, but also super expensive and it can miss pretty often. I'm gonna go right here. Yeah. Royal Hogs are decent. Decent enough to go right here. I don't know why all the rares are just grouped up here. That's just how it is, I guess. I'm sure once we get to other rarities, it'll be put all in between. And plus, that when I'm done, I'll make some adjustments. 3M. 3M is not good. That said, I don't think it's particularly bad either. Here. Yeah, I'd say right here. I'd say right here works for 3M. It's the most expensive card in the game, but if you get it down and going, then it can shred entire pushes. And if 3M gets locked on the tower, then you probably won the game. Tombstone is pretty good. How good? B tier, I would say. Where in B tier? I'm thinking right above Tesla. No, right below Cannon. Yeah. Valk is A tier. Here, yeah, right there. Valk is a great card. I love Valk. Uh, Good damage and very tanky and massive area, but only 4 elixir. Great card. Wizard. Outside of Skeletons, probably my most controversial opinion. I really like Wizard. Now, it's not S tier like I said it was last time, but I am definitely putting it in A tier. Right here. Wizard is so good in mid ladder. Like, so good. It gets value almost every time I put it down. In fact, it gets value every time I put it down, unless the opponent, like, lightnings it or something. Um, Massive splash radius of good damage and really good range. Put it behind something like an Electro Giant or really any decently tanky melee unit, and it is going to completely shred. Um, it is a little on the expensive side at 5 elixir, but so what? It can completely shred pushes and destroy swarms. Does enough damage to be a really good support. Yeah, Wizard is great. I don't care what you say. Wizard is not a terrible card. Sorry, top players, but this isn't top. Zappies. To all people who like Zappies, I'm sorry for putting them in like E tier last time. I was wrong. I would say Zappies are more like C tier. I'm thinking right here. Yeah, I'd say that's pretty accurate for Zappies. They still get completely destroyed by Fireball really often, and they still don't do much damage. And is still maybe a little bit overpriced. But that stun is very useful. I believe that is all the rares. Time for the epics. Baby Dragon, I way overrated Baby Dragon. Baby Dragon is honestly not very good. I'm gonna go right here. It just doesn't do much damage at all. You know what? No, I'm gonna put it above Battle Healer, because Battle Healer doesn't do much damage either. At least Baby Dragon has Splash and is an air troop. Balloon. A tier? Somewhere in A tier? Here? Yeah, I would say right there. Balloon is really good. Barb Barrel. Right around Snowball, but above or below is the question. I'm gonna go with below right now, because Snowball I've honestly better than I used to think it was, because that knockback is really nice at this low, but Barbarrel also spawns a Barbarian and behaves like logs, so yeah. Bowler. I love Bowler. Bowler is awesome. I love Bowler. Bowler is certainly an A tier. And probably high A tier even. Here, yeah. I'd say Bowler goes right there. Bowler is underrated as hell. Really tanky. The ball does good damage, knocks back things that aren't big or buildings, and yeah, only for 5 elixir. If it hit air, it would be S tier for sure. If it hit air, it'd be one of the best cards in the game. Yeah, Bowler is really good. Candy Cart is also pretty solid, but not as good as Bowler. It's another one of those underrated epics. I'm gonna put it right here. Clone. Clone is kind of mediocre, which basically means C tier. I'll put it right here for now. Dark Prince. Dark Prince is pretty solid. I'm gonna go top of B tier. The charge does decent damage, and it's got splash, and the shield helps against things like, I guess, things that do a ton of damage. I can get extra hit against mini P.E.K.K.A. or even normal P.E.K.K.A. Uh, yeah, it's not the best 1v1 thing though against things that are like tankier, for example. And Electro Dragon. I honestly underrated this before. Electro Dragon's pretty solid. Um, Honestly, I'm gonna put it right below Baby Dragon right here. It's more expensive than Baby Dragon, which is why I'm not putting it above, but the chain is pretty nice. Electro Giant. Electro Giant in mid ladder is the best card in the game. Top of S tier. Electro Giant is still broken as hell in mid ladder. Um, it still has that crazy just zap back power that eviscerates swarms and things that touch it that aren't super tanky. Um, Buildings can sometimes be a problem, but one, buildings aren't particularly common in mid ladder. Two, you can counter them with spells, and three, it can still destroy buildings with that zap. Electro Giant is insane. This may not be the case at the top, but again, this is not a top level tier list. This is mid ladder, and in mid ladder, Electro Giant is dominant. Executioner is A tier. I'm gonna put it right below the bowler. Executioner. No, I'm gonna put it right above the bowler. Executioner is pretty similar to Wizard. It's tankier. It doesn't have near as much DPS actually. Its DPS is just trash in comparison to Wizard, but also its axe goes really far. It hits twice. Again, it's way tankier than Wizard. It just doesn't quite have the. I just don't see it as quite as reliable as Wizard for me, honestly. I just haven't gotten the reliable results from it. It's still a great card for sure. Just I like Wizard more, honestly. Freeze. I overrated it before. Freeze is not like high B tier or wherever I put it. Freeze is more like C tier. Here, yeah. It can be useful in quite a few situations, but in other situations it's absolutely useless and a waste of a slot. Giant Skeleton. Yeah. Giant Skeleton is. You know what? No, bottom of B tier is not right. It's higher than that. It's like here. Yeah. Giant Skeleton, once if it gets to the tower, then say goodbye to your tower, but outside of that, it doesn't do much. It gets completely ratioed by things like P.E.K.K.A. But yeah. Goblin Barrel. Goblin Barrel is high A tier. Not high A tier, high B tier. I was thinking of a different Goblin unit. Which I'm sure we'll get to soon. I'm thinking here, yeah. Speaking of, Goblin Drill. When I said Goblin Hunt was the best spawner in the game, I wasn't. I forgot about Goblin Drill. Although you don't really use this as much of as like a spawner, as a typical spawner building, planting it in the back. You put it on top of the enemy's tower. And on the enemy's tower, it is very useful, and that's why I'm putting it right here. Goblin Drill is awesome. What's not awesome is Goblin Giant. Goblin Giant sucks. One of the weakest epics for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna go here. Sure, it's like really, really fast for how much health it has, and the Seer Goblins are nice, but it's also frail, and it costs way more than it should. If it costed 5 elixir instead of 6, it would shoot up into C tier. Still wouldn't be very good, though. Golem. Super tanky. In fact, the tankiest unit in the game by a pretty decent margin. But also it can get completely destroyed by things at times. Like, if you put it alone, it's just going to get deleted by a mini P.E.K.K.A. or a P.E.K.K.A. or a mighty miner or something. Something that has high damage. A tier, but pretty low in A tier. Right there. No, right there. Yeah. Guards. I definitely underrated them last time. I'd say they're more like C tier now. High in C tier even. Here. There. Yeah. The shields are pretty cool. Hunter is A tier without a doubt. I love the Hunter. Its close range damage is so good. Not very high in A tier, like probably right here I'd say, but still, Hunter is nice. Lightning, also an A tier. In fact, I'm going to put it right next to the Hunter. Lightning can get really good value. And that's, I would absolutely say it's better than Rocket. Just because it's much easier to get high value out of it. Plus the stun's nice. And you don't have to be quite as precise with it. It's just easier to get right. Mirror's B tier. If it still did the +2 levels, then it would be A tier, like high A tier. But for now, with the state it's currently in, it's high end of B tier here. Yeah, it can still be really useful in certain situations. Tornado. I underrated it before. Tornado was actually good. I'm gonna put Tornado right here. No, there. Yeah. It's a good epic. It can completely divert whole pushes, or yeah, it can destroy swarms. It can activate your king tower for you. It's just that if it didn't damage buildings and therefore could be used on the other side where the enemy towers are without activating their king tower, it would be A tier. Like you could switch switch lanes of an enemy troop that was put right behind the king tower. That would be really useful. P.E.K.K.A's S tier. Sure. For sure. Here, above E-Barbs. P.E.K.K.A is the 1v1 machine. It's the ultimate 1v1 card. It will beat every other individual troop in a 1v1 fight. And handily, too. It just sucks against swarms, but if you have spells or good splash support, that won't be too much of a problem. And it's super expensive, but it's extremely tanky with crazy high damage. P.E.K.K.A is awesome. And it's one of the counters to Electro Giant. If you beat Electro Giant well, then you're going to be decently high on this list. Poison is okay. B tier, I guess. I'm thinking right here. Yeah, I'd say right there. Prince is A tier. Prince is a great card. And I'm going to put it above Wizard, actually. Prince is an awesome card. Its charge does so much damage. And it's quite tanky, too. And it can jump over the river now. Yeah. Prince is awesome. Rage. Rage got a huge buff. Before the update, I would have put it low C, high D. After the update, it is going right up to the top of A tier, and I'm actually putting it above the Zap, since it has basically the same radius, and I think around the same damage. Let me verify that real quick. But it also rages troops. It will completely destroy the swamp. Like, put E-Barbs at the bridge, and they're gonna put Skarmy down in front of the E-Barbs to stop them. Put Rage on that Skarmy. Skarmy's dead. E-Barbs are Rage. Enemy tower is gone. Rage is awesome right now. Let me make sure it has the same damage as Zap. I might be wrong there. 192. Yeah, same damage as Zap. Uh, and more radius than Zap, actually. Rage is awesome. In fact, actually, I'm putting Rage above Arrows, too. Rage is almost S tier. And we'll get to the other card that was affected by that Rage buff in a little bit, and it'll also be quite high up. Speaking of high up, Skeleton Army's S tier. In between E-Barbs and P.E.K.K.A. Skeleton Army is the ultimate Swarm unit. It spawns like 15 skeletons for only 3 elixir. It's going to completely destroy E-Barbs, P.E.K.K.A, Mini P.E.K.K.A, Prince, most win conditions. I say most because Electro Giant exists. Yeah, Skeleton Army is awesome. And all that for only 3 elixir. What's not particularly awesome is Wall Breakers. Wall Breakers are pretty bad. I'm going to put them right above Goblin Giant. They just get countered so easily by basically everything. But if they do connect, they'll be pretty good damage. Like they do a lot of damage when they connect. But any good player is going to know how to counter it. So you have to get really lucky or be up against bad opponents to get good use from these things. Yeah. At least they're cheap, though. If they weren't cheap, if they were like 3 elixir, they'd be E tier or even F tier. Which is okay. Here. Yeah, that seems pretty good for Witch. It spawns skeletons and does okay splash damage, but sometimes it does not get any value that you like. It just doesn't get the value that you want from it at times. That said, it's still versatile, at least in terms of the situations it can be used in. It can be used to beat swarms. It can be used kind of as a little bit of a swarm to fight P.E.K.K.A s. Yeah, and it can be used as a support that supplies both swarm and splash. Overall, Witch is pretty solid. Expo. While I put Mortar a tier 2 low on my last tier list, I put Expo a tier 2 high. Expo was C tier. And I would say pretty low in C tier as well. I definitely overrated it. I'm gonna put it right below Clone. It's not bad, but it just can get, it gets aggroed. Its deploy time is really slow, which means that it's gonna the enemy's gonna put like a tank near it or really anything near it, and that's gonna distract the Expo and make it unable to lock onto the tower. And also, unlike Mortar, it can attack right next to it, which means it's even harder to get to the tower. But when it gets to the tower, I would say it's much better than Mortar. Just because Mortar takes like 8 years to launch a ball at a tower. So yeah. That was the last epic. Time for legendaries. Bandit. Bandit is good. I'm gonna put it here. 3 elixirs, so quite cheap. Pretty frail, but decent damage, especially that dash. That dash can do wonders. Ewiz is right here. Ewiz is awesome. That spawn zap is so useful, and it can split its attacks. Its stun is super useful. 4 elixir is honestly not bad for how much this card does. It can counter E-Giant pretty well. It counters Sparky, which we'll get to later. It counters Inferno Dragon, which we'll also get to later. It counters Inferno Tower. It counters most win conditions in general. Electro Wizard is really nice. Fisherman is not so nice. One of the weakest legendaries, honestly. Also cheap, but doesn't do as much damage and is really frail. The hook is also a double-edged sword, as it can pull something to exactly where you want it to be pulled, but it can also pull an Electro Giant to your tower. So take your pick. Fisherman goes to the top of D tier. Graveyard. Honestly, not very good. I see people that like Graveyard a lot, but I just see it as overrated. It gets countered so easily at times. I'm gonna go right here. It just takes too long to get going, and it doesn't spawn skeletons fast enough to be able to not be countered super easily. Like if the tower is locked onto like a golem and the enemies use other elixir, then it's nice. But yeah, I would just rather use Goblin Barrel or especially Goblin Drill. Inferno Dragon is pretty high in A tier. Inferno Dragon is a great card. I'm gonna put it right here. Inferno Dragon can absolutely melt through tanks, and it can actually move unlike the Inferno Tower. And it's an air unit, so that's even better. Very useful. Ice Wizard is really mediocre. It does basically no damage, but the slowdown is pretty nice, and it's really cheap. I'm gonna put it right below Graveyard. Yeah, I think that's a good spot for that. Log. Log is right here. Log is top 3 card for sure. Log is awesome. It's so incredibly versatile. It just rolls down like half the map, knocking back everything it touches, which is every ground unit in its path. And it can kill quite a few lower health troops. The knockback is so useful because it even knocks back like big troops like Electro Giant or P.E.K.K.A. or Golem or things like that. Yeah. Log is the most versatile card in the game and the best spell in the game. Lumberjack. The other card that got affected by the Rage buff outside of Rage itself. Right here. Lumberjack's buff made it really good. Before the buff, it would probably be around here. After the buff, now that it's death, it has death damage now. So you put it in front of a put it in front of E-Barbs, and then they put a skeleton army down. The lumberjack takes down some of the Skarmy, and then the rage it gets killed by the Skarmy. The rage drops, and the E-Barbs are now raged and onto the tower with no skeletons in the way. But also, it functions as its own unit, as a pretty good melee fighter with a really fast attack speed, and it runs at, like, the speed of light, basically. Like, put it at the bridge when the opponent's low on elixir, and watch their tower go from full to almost 0. Lumberjack is an awesome card. Okay, maybe not this awesome. I'm gonna put it down a little bit, like, here. But, yeah, really awesome. Here, yeah. Okay. Magic Archer. I definitely underrated this, but also still don't think it's very good. Here. No. Here, yeah. Its range is very nice. Like, it attacks them super far, and it can get some very sneaky tower damage with that piercing arrow. But it's also super frail, and 4 elixir is just, I don't think it's quite worth it. For how little damage it does. Yeah. Mother Witch is another one that I underrated a little bit. I do not think it's the worst legendary in the game anymore. But I still think it's a very bad legendary that's in, like, D tier. Right here, probably. It's still only good against cards, like, against enemies that over-rely on swarms. But, yeah. Still bad, but not as bad as I used to think. Miner is not good. I don't know why people like Miner. Yeah, Miner is, like, here. Worse than Graveyard, even. It just does, like, no damage. It's not a threat at all. Sure, it's cheap, but so what? It's not gonna do anything to the enemy tower because its damage is so pathetic. What's not pathetic is Mega Knight. The other mid-ladder menace outside of E-Barbs and Electro Giant. Where does Mega Knight go? I'd say right here. The spawn damage is really nice. It knocks back most units. and it has a jump that also knocks back most units and does a lot of damage. It's super tanky. It has splash damage, and yeah, its 1v1 ability isn't the best. Like, it gets destroyed in 1v1s. It gets like mini P.E.K.K.A.s and Valkyries and Knights even, and of course P.E.K.K.A.s. P.E.K.K.A.s are this thing's worst nightmare. Um, but it still is very useful in quite a few situations that you'd find yourself in a mid ladder. In fact, they can be pretty good against E-barbs. Like, uh, E-barbs are running towards the tower, put the Mega Knight down, knock them back, and then maybe put like a Skarmy in front of the Mega Knight so the Mega Knight doesn't take a ton of damage from the E-barbs. Sure, it's 10 elixir to beat 6, but you also have a Mega Knight going towards the enemy's tower. So yeah, they have to spend elixir on that, which would probably even it out, because Mega Knight is really hard to take down with very low elixir cost. So yeah, Mega Knight is good. Night Witch is decidedly not good. Night Witch goes right here. Night Witch is the worst legendary in the game by a country mile. Um, a really weak melee unit. Like, sure, melee range is decently long and it does good damage, but it is frail. And the bats, like, come out once in a blue moon. The Night Witch is awful. Yeah, Night Witch is very bad. Phoenix is decidedly not bad. Um, while I think it's overrated by the community and not like top 5 like people think it is still a good card for sure. Good enough for me to put it right here. Right in the middle of A tier. It's basically Mega Minion on steroids, but it also has that respawn ability. But also it got nerfed just recently to where it now dies to lightning. Which, if it didn't die to lightning, it would be a few spots up. But now it does. So, yeah. Princess is pretty mid. Here? Its range is long and its splash is nice. It can sit... If there's like a whole big massive war happening at the bridge, it can just sit in the back and snipe. But also it gets completely destroyed by log. And its DPS is super low because it fires every like 6 years or something. It feels like. So yeah, it's pretty mid. Ram Rider is pretty good. I would say a bit worse than Hog Rider because it's more expensive and it isn't super fast all the time. It has to charge up. But the snare is really nice. So I think it goes right there. Oral Ghost is pretty solid. Its DPS is pretty low because its attack speed is super slow and its health isn't the best, but it only costs 3 elixir and that invisibility is pretty nice. I'm thinking of putting Oral Ghost right here. Lastly, Sparky. Oh boy, Sparky. It's really good in mid-ladder. It can one-shot hole pushes. Yeah. Although it does get completely destroyed by Electro units. Except Electro Giant, because it doesn't really attack it. In fact, this thing is one of the Electro Giant's biggest counters. But Sparky can do so much. It can get like incredible value or it can get no value. It's truly a hit or miss. But if you're good and have a deck that works well with Sparky, like I do, then it's great. Which is why I'm putting it here, right above Inferno Dragon. If you're wondering where my deck is, by the way, it's kind of cursed. Electro Giant, Sparky, Log, Fireball, Skeleton Army, Inferno Dragon, Goblin Drill. Was that 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wizard, 8. Yeah, that's the deck. It's pretty expensive, but it gets the job done, and its offensive usability is... Like its offensive ability is basically unmatched. Anyways, time for the champions. Archer Queen, I would say, is right in the middle of the champion ranking at 3rd place. Archer Queen is absolutely a good card. I'm gonna put Archer Queen. Archer Queen is basically Musketeer on like the biggest steroids possible. I'm gonna put it right here. That ability can completely shred an entire push, but also Archer Queen gets completely destroyed by lightning. A lot of things get wrecked by lightning, but Archer Queen in particular is a big target, especially since the invincibility can't really dodge a spell. So, yeah. Golden Knight is one of the weaker champions at 4th place, but still a good card. I'm gonna put Golden Knight right there. The dash is nice. It can completely dash across the whole map, but oftentimes it feels like it's like doesn't do what it should. Like it feels like the range is too short. As a melee unit on its own, it's good too. Its DPS is pretty high because it attacks fast. Yeah, it's pretty good. Mighty Miner. Mighty Miner is incredible right now. The buff it just got, the speed buff it got, which I don't know why. It was already S tier before that, but now it's even higher in S tier. Now it completely just sprints across the battlefield at breakneck speed, and it's going to connect to your tower, destroy it, and then go to your king tower and destroy that too. If you put troops in front of it, it's just going to use its ability, dig to the other side of the map, leave a bomb, destroy those troops, and continue doing what it does. Sure, swarms destroy it. Sure, it can't do anything against Electro Giant, but so what? Like, you don't need to use it in those situations. Tanky, Inferno Dragon, like its weapon is literally an Inferno Dragon, but melee and on the ground. Its ability can destroy swarms super easily. If you have one of the towers down, you can just put it in the spot where that tower was, kind of in the pocket, and then use your ability to go over to the other tower and lock onto it, destroy it. Yeah, you can do all that. All while being only 4 elixir. Mighty Miner is OP. Please nerf. Thank goodness you don't unlock it till higher than where I am. This is just based off of what I've been able to use it in for like challenges and stuff. In fact, that's like I thought for all the champions. I don't have any of them. But yeah, just sheesh. Monk is also S tier. Right here, I'd say. It got a little bit of a nerf with an elixir cost increase to 5 from 4. If it was still 4, then it'd probably be in between Fireball and P.E.K.K.A. But yeah, Monk is still a beast of a card. It has the little combo attack where it does one attack that does a little bit of damage, second one does a little bit of damage, then the third one does a lot of damage and knocks back. Still tanky, still, I mean, even 5 elixir is still cheap for what this thing can do. Its ability is the standout part. Its ability allows it to deflect projectiles. Like, someone throws a rocket at your tower, then use the monk's ability and throw that rocket right back at their tower. They put, like, a 3M right in front of your monk. Don't worry, activate your ability and the 3M will literally kill themselves with their own weapon. That can also be used against you a bit though. Like let's say a monk is going kind of towards your tower, and then it uses its ability. Well, put a princess down right in front of your king tower, and the princess will shoot at the monk, and it'll get deflected back, and the splash will activate your king tower for you. So that's how its ability can be used against you. But yeah, the monk is still an awesome card, even after the nerf. Now the last card to rank, the Skeleton King. Yeah, it's the worst champion, honestly, in my opinion. It's still a good card, obviously. Like, I'd say it goes right here, but it just doesn't quite have the oomph behind it that the other ones do. Its damage is not very good. Its attack is, I think its attack is around the same as Dark Prince, but without the charge. But also it's tankier than Dark Prince and has that really cool revive ability. The revive ability is actually what keeps it in B tier. If it didn't have that ability, it would be C tier probably. Because without its ability, it's just a worse Valkyrie. Way worse Valkyrie. But yeah, still a good card. Just not as good as the other champions. But yeah, that's the list. I hope it helps to people that actually watch this video and go and I guess are mid ladder or anywhere but the top. Or just you want to know what my thoughts about the current state of the meta in this game. It's certainly a better meta than whatever's happening in Jurassic World Alive, I'll tell you that.
I'm still not sure if I'm gonna actually make that 2.20 Dress Go to Life tier list series. I said I might do it, but I don't know if I will. But yeah, um, whatever happens, happens, I guess. Hope you guys enjoyed. Like and subscribe if you want. And I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.